We are now entering or moving towards the door of one of my other biggest installations, which is entitled The Flower of Life. This is the message of this room, obviously, the epitome of my numerous messages about woman and womanhood. The flower of life meaning the private part of the woman, and the way it's named is I want to call attention to the beauty and importance and sacredness of that, so to speak, flower of that part of a woman. Because our society is forgetting that life emerges out of that part. And that's my main emphasis, that life comes out of there. That it is not, that it should not be treated in our media, in our society, in porn industry, the way it has been. And I'm sure those tastes, those messages, the way it had been treated will always be there. But I want to raise awareness of its importance and of its function and of its sacredness. So here we have that part, the vagina. And our society apparently is very afraid of that word. And I will say it again, vagina. It's a bleeding vagina, bleeding with menstrual blood, which should be considered sacred. It is at the basis of everything, because birth of a child, woman, is the basis at the center of each family and each home. And we go down to show the menstrual blood as it becomes grapes, as it becomes blood, as the idea of first, I believe it's called communion, that Christians partake to, because I do have a lot of Christian symbolism in my work. You know, this is my blood, drink it, this is my body, eat it. And in a way, to me, that tradition is kind of unusual. I don't want to insult anyone, but this is that wine of sacredness, the wine of blood. Here we see the centerpiece is a child. It's a little bit hard to see, but in the blanket is an image of a little newborn baby. We see soap bubbles, because the soap bubbles is my idea of transience, but of joy of life. And I do blow bubbles on the street at my street performances when I try to brighten people's lives, because everybody loves bubbles, especially the children. We have a helmet from the Vietnam War, and the piece itself is also a statement against war, because as we go up, a little bit up in the piece, there is a combat boot. There's a woman's boot which is reminiscent of a combat boot right there, and as we go up, there's a child, and Christ child blessing with a child that you would see on the street. His actually name is Lucas. Somebody photographed him, and I incorporated him in my work. And we see a combat boot filled with flowers. It's not filled with a torn off leg, which often happens as one of the wounds in a war, especially the modern war, where there are explosions, where there's shrapnel falling. And we see the woman, the supreme woman, with a heeled shoe, flying high up with a rose. That rose is actually taken out from the Venus, Birth of Venus piece, where the roses are cascading as the Venus is emerging from the water. We see the imagery of the Venus and two players in the painting Primavera by Botticelli, and they have been recombined with real objects of the piece. Basically, this whole room is the image of two paintings, part of their images as they have been dismembered, so to speak, and recombined with real objects of my work of choosing that I have been using in my work. Shoes and, clothing and the bicycle. We see all the attributes of the family. We see pots for cooking, we see bicycle, we see family car right here, wine that people drink to celebrate various occasions of their lives. So in a way, I hope to make an impression that the whole humanity is in this room as people live their lives in joy and sorrows, in joy of births, in weddings, in sorrows of losses, illness. And I think that every expression is beautiful. Sorrow can be a very beautiful expression as well. Here we see an older woman, idea of an older woman with knitting needles. Not necessarily an older woman, but my grandmother was a big shining example of what a person should be. And that's why she was an accomplished knitter. That's why knitting needles and balls of yarn are repeatedly used in my work. We have a baby blanket. Again, the cooking pot is emerging here. Another vision of Madonna. And the piece took me about 4 years to put together. There were separate pieces at the corners of the room, which I slowly moved together over time. I tore numerous times pieces apart. Things were falling down on me. A huge piece just collapsed, and then I had to reassemble it. But this is probably the longest time I've worked on this work. I started working on it when we moved into this house 4 years ago, and continued throughout our time of living here. So it's about the same size as Redemption, but Redemption took me much shorter time to make, and actually took much more out of me in a much shorter period of time. We have an image of antique image of a photograph of a woman. So just the whole idea of time passing by and values, traditions, which are so important, which right now are being overlooked, unfortunately. The tradition of getting together around the dinner table, the tradition of listening and communicating live instead of communicating through texting and computer screens and so forth. I would like to see if I can rekindle this tradition, which I believe is very important. We have another picture of an antique picture of a boy here. Peaches, symbolic of, again, female anatomy. This piece, we have again Mona Lisa emerging, but not as an ominous presence, but as something positive, showing life coming out of it, and flowers, and babies, and planes, warplanes, being so small in magnitude and size compared to the life itself, which is springing out of that knowing eye. The piece is called The Eternal Eye. We are coming a little bit closer. We see olive oil, which is the basis of a lot of cooking. Well, some people like another kind of oil, but olive oil is a very pure oil, and also it has a big significance, you know, from the oil, symbolism of the olive branch, for peace, for peace, for peace. This is what I'm trying to say. We need peace. We need love, and we need peace. The next piece that's being shown right here is White Madonna, and it shows a home, a peaceful, wonderful, beautiful home that is very important for every child to grow in. And there's a number of the home, that's a plaque for the home. I actually asked the neighborhood person to give me the plaque of their home. They had another title, another number designated there, and they didn't want to give it to me at first, but I asked, and they finally agreed to give it to me. There is a secret in that box, which no one knows what it is, but it's on a pedestal just as much as a tombstone, because death is a part of life, and a baby shoe, bronze baby shoe, which is perched at the top with a dove of peace, meaning life and baby above everything. And right there we see a photograph of a sleeping baby, which I took, which is so important in every family, peaceful baby. And finally, I would like to conclude with a picture of a person to whom this whole house is dedicated, the picture of my sister, who whose life was very sad and who died under very painful circumstances. She took her life, like I said, and I want to dedicate this to her loving memory.